Welcome to the pod. Here we go.
I thought we quit that.
Oh, welcome to the
You
podcast.
went full red.
I did go full red. Sorry. Welcome to the podcast.
I don't like that either.
Welcome to the podcast. What? We're so glad that you're here. Welcome to the pod.
We're working on the intro, all right? We're working on the intro.
2 cents, Josh and Spence. Intro in progress. Season 2. You know,
Episode 3.
Episode-
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Season's
Halfway
rolling
through
right
season
along.
2, we'll get the intro sooner or later. All right, homie. 2 cents, Josh and Spence. We're your hosts, Josh.
Spence.
What's up, everybody? Today, let's talk about joy. Okay?
Okay.
Right?
I thought we were talking about something else, but we sure could.
Well, we're talking about something else that's going to lead to joy. So,
Okay.
So on the squad here, kind of our whole overarching mission is to spread joy and empower other people. So we're going to talk about joy here today. Oh, it says it right here on my left pectoral. To spread joy and empower other people. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's also in black and orange. Not unlike this Moorhead Spud sweater behind me here. By design? Absolutely. So joy. What is joy? And then 2, how to keep it. So what initially sparked the conversation is the idea of comparison, right? Yeah. And we have all been very guilty of that. And whenever I find myself in that headspace, my favorite quote to remind myself is that comparison is the thief of joy.
I love that.
Right?
It's a nice little quote.
Because no matter what, like there's somebody...
Did you make that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, I don't know where that came from, to be honest.
That's a good one.
But yeah, I deserve 0 credit for it. But first time I heard it, yeah, it resonated with me because it's very, very true. Because no matter what, like, you know, there's only one of the best of everything in the world, right? Like there's only one, like, there's only one insert thing.
Yeah.
There's only one Connor McDavid out there. There's only one whatever.
Listen,
at
guys,
a time.
You can't be the best.
That's what this podcast is about, accepting your limitations.
Except that you might suck at some stuff.
But it's true. So it's like, okay, well, I want to be whatever. I've always said that. Like, there's always somebody bigger, stronger, better looking, whatever. You know.
Yep.
But, you know, and it just is what it is. And so, like, what you focus on expands. So if all of a sudden you focus on what you don't have, then that brings you into scarcity and lack, and it's very de-energizing, right? So like you're into the gym and you're seeing progress, you're seeing some improvement and stuff. Well, all of a sudden there's somebody that's just a little bit better than you. So all of a sudden, like, I'm not as good as that guy. So you compare yourself to that person. All of a sudden that is a joy thieving, energy draining event.
Now all the good things that you were doing at the gym are erased in your mind. So
yeah, same thing. Like us in real estate. Like there's always somebody selling more houses. Or there's always someone doing better. So you have a great month, but it's like, oh, you're number 3 on the board. So it's all of a sudden, oh, that's not good enough. This sucks, right? Yep. And so there's a good book that I've read. It's called The Gap and the Gain. Okay, so the gap would be, okay, I'm here. This is so now I'm in real estate or whatever. So my goal is to sell 24 houses or whatever. And that's where I'm at. But then all of a sudden, and you're really happy with that. So then you sell your 24 houses, but then somebody sells 26 or whatever. And all of a sudden that's not good enough. Or no matter what, like wherever you are, like you're almost always in pursuit of the next thing, right? But then if you stay in that place, you're always in that gap between where you are and where you want to be, right? Yeah. On the flip side, there is then the gain. So if you stop where you're at now and look backwards and look at how far you've come, like that's a much more energizing thing. So like for us, like our goal as a real estate team is to sell 200 houses this year, you know, and say we sell 100, you know, it's like, oh man, what a bunch of losers, you know, but then to stop back and look like, well, remember when you didn't even think you'd get your real estate license? And then, you know, you really, really struggled to sell 2 houses and you made all these mistakes and you did all this and, you know, so why don't you look at that? Or like your life in general. Well, I'm 35, my my net worth isn't where it should be, and so just bought this, and like we're never going to be able to buy a lake place, and we're, whoever just got a boat. It's like, whoa, So that's one thing I'll tell myself often as like just a good reminder. Like I'll always say, like, if you showed 14-year-old Josh your life right now, that kid would crap his pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
sure.
thinking about it from that perspective.
I've thought that way too. Yeah, it's crazy to, think back to when I was younger. Like I never would have guessed I'd be where I am.
100%.
But I've always been so curious. Like for you old people, before before social media came around, like was this such a thing? Like
I absolutely hate that line of questioning. I object.
Because,
No. It's always been a real thing. Like you come home,
but it drives me nuts because you go on social media and everyone's posting about the best moments of their life or what they're doing so well, but you don't see what they're struggling with. You don't see the problems that they have and stuff. So it's natural for you to be like, oh, they have such a better life than me.
Oh, 100%.
But like you're only seeing part of it.
Right. Well, social media is absolutely like exaggerated that issue. But like it's always been that. So like you play a game or whatever your sport is, say it's hockey, and you score a goal, right? Well, your line mate scored 3 goals.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I suck because I didn't score 3 goals, Or like in early on in like late middle school, early high school, like you'd go to parties or whatever. You go out and then people would like take pictures with their Kodak camera and then they'd bring them to school the next day or whatever. And you'd see them and you'd be like, whatever, like jealous of what they're, so then it takes you out of like all the fun that I had and then focusing on, well, I didn't do that,
Mm-hmm.
So like that, I feel like that is it's always been there. It's not necessarily a social media thing, but social media has absolutely exasperated that, enhanced.
Hey Siri.
Like what is this? Like say you have a box like this big, and then you zoom in, highlighted.
It's made it worse.
Woo! Good pod.
But
good
yeah,
pod, good pod. Yeah.
But like I've tried to not be on social media as much. So I like deleted all the notifications that I get and stuff, and I obviously still go on to watch funny reels and stuff. But I can feel the difference. Like you don't compare yourself to other people as much, and I'm such a self-conscious person. I'm always worried what like people I went to high school with would think about me. And it's like, why? I don't see any of them anymore other than like my good friends, but
right.
I'm constantly comparing myself to them. It's so odd to me that I would do that.
It's a weird thing, but I feel like what is that they call like the 20, 40, 60 rule or something. So like at 20, you're worried about what everybody thinks about you. And then at 40, you don't care nearly as much as what other people think. And then at 60, you realize nobody was thinking about you in the first place. Like,
oh, for sure.
I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it is a real thing. But it is always a good reminder, like comparison is the thief of joy. So when you start even entertaining that, because you could even do that here, like in what we do, like you can go on and look at all the stats and see what so-and-so did. And like sometimes that can be a good kick in the pants on the one hand too, because there's like that dichotomy. There's that push and pull between like, I'm super grateful and happy with everything that I have and where I'm at right now. And yet like, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
So on the same,
I was going to say, sometimes it's nice to see stuff like that because it's like, oh, what I want to do can be done.
Yeah.
So you use it as motivation instead of, oh, I didn't do that.
Right.
Use it as motivation.
Yeah.
So.
And then a lot of people have like, and I'm in a mastermind with a couple other guys. We were talking about this yesterday. So like have it like a chip right here on my shoulder that I can access when I would like to access. You know what I mean?
Like a tortilla chip?
If it was a tortilla chip, I would have ate it a long time ago. I would have put it in some red pepper salsa and would have ate it. But like you watch that Last Dance documentary?
Oh yeah.
Like MJ had that where he would even make up stories about people. Like there's that story about where he didn't have a very good game and he played against this kid and this kid scored like 35 points or something. And then at the end, the kid goes to Michael Jordan. He's like, hey, nice game, Mike. Like just a shot at him. And then Mike came back the next night and scored like 36 points in the first half against that kid, But then come to find out, like that kid never said that. Like he made that up.
Yeah.
He made it up in his own head. You know what I mean? To like access that drive. And so it's like, because I still have that there. Like I still, in my heart of hearts, like a lot of times I feel small and I feel poor, That's just, I just remember feeling that way as a kid. And like it's big chunk of why like the mission is to spread joy and empower other people, because like you have that and you don't want other people to feel that, and yet like I would like to have access to that fire to like tap into it when I feel like I need to, and yet like there's a very probably a healthy way and a very unhealthy way to deal with that, but yeah. But
so do you think like the super super highly motivated, highly successful like people who are like extremely competitive like that, like a pro athlete, do you think that they have the same like issues as us? Like do you think that they are comparing themselves, or is it only like I'm going to use that as motivation, like you said?
I'm sure like LeBron James just passed Kareem's scoring record, but they're still always comparing and always kind of whatever. So even if he's supposed to be the best in the game right now, well, is he better than Michael, or whatever? Like there's always that thing, I feel. But then too, it's like, how do you handle that in like a healthy way? Because there's a lot of those super successful, highly focused people that like don't have great relationships with their spouses and their kids and their friends and burn a lot of bridges and stuff like that. And that's certainly not the goal, right? The goal is to like live an optimal life. And, key relationships are a big part of that. So it's like, how do you, but that on the same hand, like that's also one of my fears though, is that you get like too comfortable and complacent and then you look back like, oh shoot, I wasn't doing what I should have been doing,
Yeah.
And that I feel like on the flip side, that is like the true definition of like, I've heard it been put like the true definition of hell is like when you meet the person you could have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's that, you know what I mean? So there's that push and pull where like I'm really happy and content and really full of joy right now, and yet like when that there's some meat on the bone that you left out there. But again, that's you versus you though. That's not you versus me, because that's just a game that you can't win. And then all of a sudden that turns into like me calling you ugly so that I can be better looking. And that's not a good, healthy thing either, But ultimately, like it's a very tempting thing to want to get into that, like, well, whatever they're doing, or if you're doing better than them, like, but I don't know. It's best, like the Stoics and all the really wise people are very like self-reflective, I feel, instead of like looking and comparing to other people, because then you're kind of more in control, because you can't control what somebody else did. You can only control what you're doing and how you think and talk to yourself and how you feel about it. But yeah, it's a dangerous game, my friend.
Yeah, I think I've kind of learned throughout this podcast that you have to kind of find that happy medium where like you are comparing yourself, but or comparing yourself to other people, and that's not good to do for your self-esteem, all that kind of stuff, but you also want to use it as motivation and and be like, oh, okay, what I want to do can be done. Or
it's like, yeah, so it's nice to be able to have those people and those mentors to like model like success, right? But then, and to kind of have that benchmark. But I feel like when it's you versus somebody else, that's an unwinnable game, But when it's you versus you, that's where I feel like that's where joy actually comes from, is like the realization of a worthy goal. So you set out like, this is an ideal life. This is the person that I want to be. And then you slowly becoming that person, So I've said it many times, like a cheeseburger can make you happy, but like joy comes from, like following a diet and exercise and then seeing those results and the confidence that comes from that.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, like even if you're the top, and you see that in sports all the time, like, well, so-and-so is like Mike Tyson. Like Mike Tyson was just an unbeatable human, just destroying people. And then one day, because he was, he's getting lazy. He was comparing himself to other people. He's like, nobody can touch me. And then Buster Douglas knocked him out. And then after that, he was just, I don't know, he was just different.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm going to, instead of comparing yourself to somebody else, like, you see something on social media or somebody's doing what you want to do, let's give them a, hey, good job, man.
Well, that's it.
You mind if I take you out for a coffee or something and just pick your brain and you're doing what I want to do and I'd love to get your advice on it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that instead, I feel like is a much more healthy way to compare yourself to other people.
And that's good for you, and then that's good for them too, because like anybody that's, in my experience, anybody that's successful, like they love that. They love like.
Oh, if somebody ever said that to me, I'd be like, oh, me?
Yeah. 100%.
You won't pick my brain?
100%. But then too, just being like, just being cheerleaders for other people instead of like, because that too is just breeds much more positivity and energy than being a hater, Yeah. But that whole like, and that I love that about like Kobe Bryant would say, like every off season he would like make himself sign a contract, and like this is like basically he would set out like this is what I intend to do, and then he would do it. So it doesn't matter like what anybody else is doing. He kind of had his like blinders on.
Yeah.
And just from a life standpoint for yourself, like this is what I want my ideal life to be. Like this is what I want my relationship to look like. This is what I want my relationship with my kids to look like. Like this is what I want my spiritual life to look like. This is what I want my energy level to look like, my health, all that type of stuff. And then you determine that for you in the, because then too, it's different. Like in what, anybody's success, like people have different body types,
Yeah.
So you can't, like I can't look at a huge dude with calves this big and be like, man, it's just different body type. It just is what it is. And then he might look at me and be like, man, that guy can eat whatever he wants and stay relatively, like it is what it is. Same thing like in our business, like some people have an easier time getting started than other people. It's like, well, some people are from here and super well connected and have a bunch of family and friends and all that type of stuff. Other people move here and like you can't, Yeah. So it's like you can't compare. That's another good thing. Like Shipley would say that all the time. Like you can't compare your insides to someone else's outsides.
Yeah.
It's that same social media thing. Like you're looking at them like this polished whatever version of them.
Yeah.
When you know all the stuff that you got going on, but like everybody's playing the hand they were dealt, doing the best that they can with what they got.
Yeah. I love that, dude. And I just to kind of put a bow on it. So we want to, I really like the idea of not comparing yourself to other people, but comparing yourself to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like where did I come from? The gap in the gain, like you said, being a cheerleader for other people. And if you see someone doing what you want to do, instead of being jealous and being like, oh, I wish I had that, reach out to them and be like, hey, that's pretty cool what you're doing. You should teach me your ways.
And then the more you do that, the more of that stuff will come back to you too. Like being a cheerleader for other people on social media, sending people, sending texts and call, like all that, like it'll absolutely come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's good. And so like at what cost too? Like I feel like we all like the idea of that like super focused psychopath. Like I watched the Last Dance documentary and I freaking love it. Like I want to run through a brick wall. And yet like
my wife would hate me if I was like that. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like at what cost?
Right.
How bad do you want it? And there's nothing that I want enough to like come at the expense of my family and my friend. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, but that's you. That's building your own life by design. Like think big. Who do you want to be? And then come up with a game plan to get there. And then just compare yourself toward your progress toward that goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
There it is.
Well, sweet, man. You got anything else to add before we Watch for deer and shake our bugs.
I would just tell that 14-year-old Josh to relax because he's about to marry the 2004 Grafton High School homecoming.
Oh!
Everything's going to be fine, pal.
Let's go. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
that's it. But yeah, good pod. Watch for deer.
Shake your bug.
Heck yeah. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like that, I know you're going to like this one right here. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Watch for deer and shake a bug.